So, Donald Trump won, and I'm here to tell you it's not going to make any difference. You see, in this video, I will discuss how there are fundamental problems that are happening with the Western world in general. I think this problem does exist almost everywhere, but America in particular has a serious problem with it because it's the one that prints the US dollar. So what's that problem? You see, it doesn't matter whether it's Harris who won or Trump who won. The serious problem that the US government has is its inclination to print money as a way to fix problems. Now, you need to keep in mind that the US debt is estimated at about $33.7 trillion with a T. That number makes about 120% of the country's GDP. Okay? Now, to make it even worse, when you think about it, the US government will have to pay around $1 trillion a year just in interest on that debt. So in order to service the debt, in the last year, it will have to pay $1 trillion US. Okay? So the problem that we need to face is a problem that I think comes from a lack of education, because this lack of education around the fact on the importance of a good and responsible fiscal policy is basically a trap. What that leads citizens around the world, and especially in the United States, is to be fooled into thinking that the government can actually fix some severe problems that cannot be fixed without the free market, the private sector. So we need to keep in mind that the government does not produce any money. The government only takes money. And when the government tells us that it's going to fix certain problems by spending money, we are being taxed, whether directly or indirectly. So even though, supposedly, let's say Trump doesn't raise taxes, okay? So Trump will say, I'm not raising taxes, Harris wants to triple your taxes, all that jazz. But in reality, even if Trump doesn't raise taxes, the fact that the government is printing money, this is a form of taxation. We need to understand that inflation is taxation. The government prints money, there's more money in circulation. This causes inflation, which makes your money worth less. So it doesn't matter if the government tells you that it's not taxing you more. The real rate of taxation is the rate of government spending. It doesn't matter really how much tax it's taking from you, right? So yes, the direct taxation, you might feel it more. It's because it's more direct. Yeah, you might feel it out of your salary at the end. But in reality, when the government is printing money, when it's spending money, it's making your existing money worth less. It's making certain assets much more expensive, especially properties, housing, office space, land, all that. So we need to keep in mind that regardless of who wins, we need to always keep tab on the government spending. This is what really matters. All this jazz about taxation rates and fees and tariffs and all that, it really doesn't matter as long as the government keeps printing money and spending money. When the government is spending money, by printing it, by issuing government bonds or whatever it is, the mechanism that it uses, it is effectively borrowing from the future. It is effectively making you poorer in the future, making your kids poorer. Yes? So right now, the situation in the United States, also in the UK, it is so dire and so bad that I don't think it makes any difference who wins the elections, because the current culture now, the current momentum is the expectation that the government should spend money to fix problems, that the government can actually somehow resolve issues by printing money, by just throwing money at the problem. But when we realize that the government does not make any money, the government only takes money, then you realize that this solution is simply unsustainable. Okay? So ask yourself now, what can we do about this situation? Like, at least don't be fooled by governments, by politicians' promises that less taxation is going to fix it, or that tariffs are going to fix it, or that we can just spend money on a certain problem. We're going to raise spending on some issue, on healthcare or on defense or whatever it is. This will not fix the problem. If the people are not educated enough to understand this, then these problems will only get bigger and bigger. It doesn't matter who becomes president, it doesn't matter who is in government. The serious issue, the biggest problem by far that faces the Western world right now is this out of control spending and printing of money. This is it. Now, Trump is promising, I think, that he will put Elon Musk in charge and Robert F. Kennedy in charge. And Elon Musk has been talking about a committee to reduce the size of the government, and I think this is a fantastic idea. But to what extent this will happen, whether Elon Musk will actually be in charge of such a committee, and if he becomes the head of such a committee, to what extent he'll be successful, that remains to be seen. But I think the number one task, the number one priority that the current US government should do, if it really happens, if it's really the case that Elon Musk will reside over such a committee, I truly hope that the first thing they would do is to reduce the size of government, reduce spending, and hopefully cut money printing at its base and stop it altogether. Because just servicing the debt is going to be unsustainable very soon. So this is basically my piece on the current elections, and why I think it won't make much of a difference if we don't change the fundamentals. Like I said, Elon Musk is promising to do that if he resides over such a committee, and I really hope the best for him. And so I hope this happens, but we'll see. I think the problem is that, culturally speaking, people expect the government to act like a parent, like a mom. The government is not your mom. The government is not your dad. The government should not be in a situation where it has to print money just to fix problems temporarily. Okay, but the serious issue is that by allowing the government to print money, and by accepting the idea that the government can just print money and spend money, what's happening in effect is that politicians are using this power to print money in order to indirectly buy votes. When a certain politician promises you to spend money on a certain issue that's close to you, and then later spends the money and does that, print the money and spend it on that issue that's close to you, it is like the politician in effect is fooling you. The politician, in effect, is taking from your money, taking from your wealth, from your savings, and giving it back to you and using that as leverage and as power over you. It's like the politicians are taking money from your right pocket and putting it in your left pocket and telling you, look how generous we are and look how much we have benefited you. So unless you understand this concept, unless you understand this simple fact, politicians will always have such a leverage over the people, and this gaping hole that is state debt, government debt that's going out of control will never be fixed. So yeah, that's my piece. Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.